do. Let's do this now.
Okay.
Okay, hi, hello, and welcome to Terry Messenger's Zone of Genius, where we make magic happen and where we bring people's gifts and talents to life. Today I have a beautiful lady, and this beautiful lady is going to bring something juicy, powerful, and I just know that there are going to be so many people out there that are going to really want to hear this message, because not only is it about tapping into your spiritual toolkit, it is about healing and transforming your broken relationships. So with no further ado, I'm going to introduce the beautiful Tammy Gipp. And hello, Tammy, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Terry.
That's just awesome. And tell me, where are you?
I'm in the fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada. What better space to bring this message?
I reckon. What a glorious, glamorous place where I just imagine like casinos and, you know, the sound of ka-ching, ka-ching and all of that glamour and glitz going on over there in Vegas. So good for you. So I would love to obviously tap into your zone of genius. And I think a lot of people understand that, you know, who have worked with me, understand that the mission behind your story is really what becomes your crown of glory, and that usually comes from your own pain. So would you like to perhaps shed some light firstly on your beautiful juicy program that you are in the midst of developing, I believe, and
yes.
Creating and really bringing it to life? And whilst you've got all of the tools and you've got all of the processes, maybe people can have an opportunity to jump on board before it really hits the road running. But do you want to share some of your own experience and tell us about that program?
Yes, Terry. I am a shaman. I was born shaman, and I, for 18 years, have done spiritual healings in a general way. And I knew the entire 18 years that I kept saying, I don't know what my niche is. I don't know what my niche is. And it became very clear through my pattern of one broken relationship after another, including 2 divorces and other relationships as well. After the last one, I saw the thread all the way through, and I knew exactly what I was going to do. So I've incorporated my soul healings and sexy spirituality toolkit, I call it, to help people transform their broken hearts into attracting their future soulmate instead of and the broken relationship pattern.
Oh, that's just incredible. Now, I love that. And you would be a real authority on that, you know, because
Yes.
the fact that you've been through 2 marriages, I know that I'm on my second, but I said, this is it for me. I ain't going down that path again, because I spent half my life with my former husband, and we were childhood sweethearts. So it was very sad that we grew apart. And it was even more tragic for a lot of people around us. So I know how heart and gut wrenching it is to, you know, move away from a relationship. And I think there's a lot of fallacy out there that, you know, people walk away from marriages and leave, you know, loved ones for somebody else. But, you know, I can't see that being really psychologically and deeply further from the truth, because nobody jumps out of the hot water without being in hot water first. You're not going to leave a beautiful, juicy, loving, rich relationship, are you?
Right. Exactly.
You
Yes.
know, and I mean, why would you? So I have absolutely, I made a couple of vows when We did part because I have such a really, I believe, high respect and regard. Well, I do have, I don't believe it, I know that, for my former partner, but I think mostly because he is the father to my children. So, I've been there, but I haven't been probably where you've traveled, which you've trailblazed a path that even goes beyond that. So tell us about, the pain that you went through and,
Yeah.
what happened to you in your life and how you got yourself out of it.
Well, I was sexually abused as a child, and there was a little bit of a thread there that I repeated a pattern with. And I have healed that at a subconscious level myself. And I knew that I could see all of the men and women that, oops, I'm sorry, my phone just decided to fall.
You're just blowing everybody away.
I guess so.
And you're muted now, Tammy. So this is real life. This is the way that it goes. So I'll just get you to unmute your line.
Sorry.
You're back.
Okay, I'm back. And what I saw after my second divorce was how confused I was, because I said the same thing going into that. I'm staying no matter what. But unfortunately, the universe had better plans for me, and I just wasn't a willing participant for a little while until, and that was not the last relationship I had either. And the one after that, I learned everything about myself and how to break the subconscious pattern, because it's a pattern that we can't really see and end the pain, because I don't want to do another 30 relationships in my lifetime. And I know nobody else wants to as well. So that's why I help by working with people's guides and other tools. Okay.
So do you think that, when you look at people who have had a lot of broken relationships and people that have perhaps married many times, I look at Elizabeth Taylor, if you are old enough to know who she is. She was a beautiful starlet actress in her day, but I think she ended up with about 5 different husbands. And there's a whole lot of biblical stuff around this sort of thing as well. So I'm also watching The Crown at the moment, and I love how the Queen, in her young days, how she is kind of like talking to the Duke, who is a young, jovial, humorous, vibrant man who has a lot of sexual energy. But of course, she is so kind of riveted into her power of duty. She turns around and says to him in her very kind of English voice, "There is just no room for divorce. That is just not an option." And I couldn't help but thinking how even the Queen must have gone through moments where she wondered, but you can certainly see that the Duke, was really that temptation, and she would do things like send him letters when he was away to remind him who he was, and to give him these little notes to say, you have a family and a royal crown waiting for you. And I thought, well, that was really, really unique and different. But, in a situation like yourself, obviously there was a lot of cause for the brokenness that was going down. And of course, that brokenness. What did you do? How did you actually release and set yourself free from that pain?
Well, one of the tools that I used was releasing my heart wall, and we trap emotions in our body from trauma and other events. And the heart wall gets put up during these trauma times for every single one. And for not bringing it back, breaking it down again, we keep it. It's good because it protects us from having a broken heart, but it also does not allow us to love either. and the clarity that comes with that. Because really the only thing I need to know is my pattern and what my future is. And I've seen way too many people give up or stay in an unhappy, unfulfilling relationship because of the forced, the where I grew up, you just got married one time and that was it. There was no other discussion, but it led into a lot of the dysfunction that causes this broken relationship pattern, whether it's a broken relationship or not, even a stayed together one. I've seen far too many unhappy ones, and I'm not willing to be unhappy. And that isn't, to me, what a soulmate is meant to be.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Because to live a life where you feel like you're dying
Yeah.
is not, I don't believe it's very inspirational for anyone. And, we need to look after ourselves first. And, I feel very much that way, especially when, because I've got such a high calling on my life. I agonized over whether I would remarry my husband. Whether I would remarry, not remarry my husband, sorry, remarry again for the second time. And I agonized over this. And I remember being in a church one day and this lady with long, fiery red hair with these piercing green eyes. And I heard that she was a prophet and an insight. So she could look into your soul and tell you the truth. Now, this is pre my practitioner days, my training days and everything. So this is going back to 2006. And I went up to her in desperation because I just believed that I would never marry again. I could have a boyfriend and, maybe, just have that kind of situation going on. But I was really scrutinizing it. I don't know whether a lot of people around me knew that though. But I said to this woman in desperation, "You've got to tell me, am I doing the right thing if I marry this man?" And you know what she did? She looked at me and she put her hands up in the air and she said, "I am blinded by your light." She said, "You've got a very high calling on your life. If it's not now, it is coming. And you just need to be very, very careful whatever you do." But she wouldn't answer me. She never did answer me. And so I kind of almost feel like, at that moment, I felt like I was a nun. Like, even though I had 3 kids, I felt like, I knew, and I told my husband this, that if he was going to marry me, he needed to know what my values were, and I wouldn't move from that. And we do have a very good understanding. And I mean, it's not perfect. We've had moments where I can feel like, we've hit rock bottom and I've thought, my goodness, is this the end again? I have had those moments. But there is something that I know, that I don't think there'd be too many men that would tolerate being married to me because of my duty, because of what I'm doing and where I focus. So I do regard myself extremely blessed, and I had to do a lot of tidying up around, the people that I attracted into my life and the kind of relationships I was really attracting. But, I do still stand by that if anything ever did happen between my husband and I pray that it won't, I just feel like that's it for me. I'm not going down that path again.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's your thoughts on that? I mean, I'm just sharing a little bit about my own soul here. What's your thoughts?
I agree. And my thoughts are, in a higher level spiritually evolved plane, that marriages are 2 to 4 years long, and then they expire and are agreed upon by both parties to renew. So really it's a hope for the best kind of scenario, but not get so shook up as we transform from our reality out of relationships so broken and so much lower than a higher spiritually evolved one. And another thing is attracting your soulmate from the soul level doesn't play the odds out in this world. It isn't about picking from a pool of people. It's about attracting the person that's right for you, and an agreement that, and I see so many people who give up right inches and seconds before the finish line, and I don't ever want to see that again.
Wow. So do you mean to say, I actually was looking at a really high level coach who's in the coaching space. And interestingly enough, while she was in broken down relationships and in transition as a single coach, I watched her attract a lot of followers. Like she really had, it's like her sexual energy had almost been transmuted into, what she was giving out to the world. And then one day she appeared and I thought her energy has changed. She just seems like there's something different about her. She suddenly went from looking like this vixen that that just poured out this sexual magnetism, and then all of a sudden she became like this beautiful American housewife like you see in the movies. She just took on a whole different persona. But I also noticed that her client changed, the people that were following her. And even I myself, and I hope she doesn't watch this, but even I myself found her less intriguing as a person who became rock solid in a relationship. And I'm not sure whether it was the sexual energy, because Napoleon Hill talks about transmuting sexual energy into into the work you do. But you have a different kind of, I know, perspective about your spiritual sexual toolkit. And I would love to hear all about that. So please share.
I absolutely think that spirituality and sexuality do mix in a really sweet spot. Without that kind of, people, I feel like there's a taboo on sexuality that makes it feel like it's dirty or wrong or bad, or they do it or you don't think about it. When it comes to spiritual, they separate the two. I am on a mission to join those two back together again, because that's where the sexual energy does come from, is being spiritually aligned with your soul. So what I like to help people do is align with their soul and nurture that on their own, hold their hand until they can, it's like training wheels on a bicycle, until they do it on their own solidly. And then you don't even have to go on a dating app. Your soulmate will be attracted into your life. It's not even, it must come. That's how I say it. Once you are aligned with your soul and your desires, it must come. And I always say there's good news and bad news. The good news is yes, you do have another future soulmate. It does not matter how many times you fell down and got boo-boos and got broken up. It does not matter. There is another one waiting for you. It is planned. It is written in the stars. And the bad news is if you deny yourself that desire, the pain will get bigger and bigger for the rest of your life too, because that split between you and your soul, because your soul is never going to get up. It's just going to bounce right back up. I don't know if you've ever seen the meme of a mother and a son in a roller coaster, and the mother is like this and the son is terrified, and it says, my spirit guides is the mother and me, I'm the terrified little one. That's what I love
that. Like, that is so super cool. I haven't seen it, but yeah, I'll probably see it now that you've said it. Yeah. It's just always the way that you bring something and then the subconscious suddenly finds it. So speaking of the subconscious finding the soulmate, exactly. How do you know, like, what are the signs that a person was perhaps destined, their star aligned soulmate showed up, or they pulled back and they put the wall up and they missed it? What are the signs that has actually happened?
Well, that is, I think you just said it right there, is that they know. They know. And it isn't something that sometimes people mistake me for a dating coach, which I am not. What I like to call myself is the pre-dating coach, to get you, and it's not even to get you to your best self, because I believe that everyone deserves their soulmate, even their darkest hour in their dark nights of the soul nights, nobody has to change anything to be deserving of their soulmate. But you do want to be attracting it from your soul connection. That's to me what makes the difference between just keeping repeating the same broken pattern and then selecting when you're on the ball, the money comes in, the success comes in, everything in your life is clicking, and it's just the natural next step. And I can't be the one to tell anybody. Everybody knows who they are. Everybody knows. And it doesn't have to be jump in face first kind of a thing. It isn't like kind of a needy, clingy kind of thing. It's that I have my energy, you have your energy, and you meet with the same values in the middle, and you still have that discovery process. And then all of the other things that go with a relationship. It's not like,
yeah, that's huge. That is a huge gold nugget. If I had have heard that many, many years ago, that may have changed everything, because I feel like, you know, at the point of when my former husband and I were obviously together, we grew very much apart. But I think the problem that happened is that we didn't have that boundary line that you're talking about, between this is where I am and this is where you are. And this is me and this is you. And having that, and I believe that even though marriage is obviously a sanctuary of unitedness and one, I do believe that what keeps it alive is being your own person, and you know, and having that, and that is something that I do have now, which is fortunate, because I am as different as day and night from my husband, and we have very individual values and even interests that sometimes, you know, can be a little bit, you know, of a challenge. But at the end of the day, you know, when I'm looking at my whole life, I really do realize I have everything, you know, because nothing's ever going to be perfect, right?
no, exactly.
So anybody that tries to say, oh, you know, I have a perfect marriage, it's always great. I mean, they're the ones you've got to watch out for, I reckon. Don't go following them, because they won't be able to tell you anything about anything.
Right.
But talk to the people that have actually struggled and been there and been in that really hard, you know, situation like yourself. And, you know, even though this is not my niche, right? You know, my niche is, you know, I kind of like started out with being a practitioner and a therapist and really healing people's wounds. And look, no matter what, everything comes around relationships. If there's brokenness, there is always usually somebody else, a second party, whether it was a soulmate, whether it was a partner, whether it was a parent, guardian, or even somebody else. It comes from the past. So while I was healing that, what I noticed, and I heard you mention this before earlier, is that they would heal it and the whole energy would change and they would attract a whole new level into their life. They would become less tolerant to people that were just like the old style. They would find that they had no tolerance, and they'd be saying to me, why do I have no tolerance now for my husband, who they were locked into this trapped, you know, really loveless marriage that was really almost soul destroying. And those women quite often found their, you know, they found their power to make a stand and do what they needed to do, something bold and courageous. And so what I then noticed is that as people kind of went up, because I mean, they say that in the coaching space, your niche, like, I hate that word and I always say it, but the people that you're going to call in want what you've got. So obviously, if there's someone out there that has been in a troubled relationship, and maybe a few, they're going to want what you've got, because now what you've got is your radiance, you've got your, you know, and there's a lot of energy around that. So I'm going to ask you in a moment how people can actually get on board with you. But I'll finish my story and say that, you know, for me, what it was is that I had a real deep desire and passion to be successful. It was more than just healing people from their wounds, although that was a massive, and that probably brought me most of my popularity. But creating the white glove of transformation, and being able to delegate that to each person for their own individual niche, because that's something that, you know, is my expertise field and area that I've been doing for years. But then really attracting those who are so wildly, like almost inhumanely passionate about being successful. That's who I attract. You know, those people, and they're insatiable. They want to be the best. They want to stand out. They, you know, all of those elements. But why? Why do I attract those people? Because that's who I am. And coming back to who you are, but I needed to go through all that brokenness as well to get to where I am. And you needed to go through all your brokenness to get where you are. So I think it's going to be very helpful for coaches out there listening, because imagine turning your story into your glory, just like Tammy. So Tammy, tell us what your, you know, I mean, that person out there that's praying for you, what they're going through, what they're possibly feeling, which is really the old you, right? And what they can expect to have happen at the end of your program.
The pain, they start out in the pain. They feel that they thought they met their soulmate already. I call it, and this is my live show this week, is the soulmate before the soulmate. The soulmate that you think it is right before the actual soulmate, because the brokenness is what puts you into your space with your soul. I feel like people don't really know who they are until they align with their soul. And then that's when the soulmate that they were meant to be with, and then the soulmate or the soulmate. And I feel like they didn't even have, they had a little inkling of who they were supposed to be their whole life, and were afraid to become that. But through the broken cracks, they become that. And the other side of it, they don't even have a question. It doesn't even have to be, I know who it is exactly yet. They know, because just like me, I know how to do this. I've done it before. And I was told by my guides about 15 years ago, you have to do this again. And at that time I said, no, because I did not think I was capable of going through that level of pain again. But I had realized on the other end that that I didn't basically leave a breadcrumb trail, so I couldn't recreate it again. And that's when they told, so that they kind of snuck it in on me, kind of, you know how guides are, they sneak that in on you when you're not looking. And I thought it was going to break me. I did. It's going to break me. And what comes from, it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. And that's what I help people do. And it has to be in a faster time, first of all, that you could ever do it on your own, let alone you need a compass through that dark, deep, dark forest, I feel.
Oh, wow. And I love that. And I'm seeing this vision, being a visionary of you being kind of taken through the fire, which is what Anthony Robbins does. It's like a symbolic thing of people walking through the fire. It's like you're walking through and almost like going through this incredible pain and agony. And then when you get to the other side, it's like it cracks the code and lets the light in. And that's where I see you, like with the light. So what is it going to be for that woman? Or, you know, is it mainly women that you're actually working with, or is it men as well?
It's mostly yes, but I have, I'm open both, right? But I do mainly work with women.
So what do you think that for them is what they can expect? What are they going to, experience and feel, and, on the other side of your program, they've come through your program, what is different, what's changed in their life?
Their iron grip on the past is easy to let go without remorse, anger, regret, pain. The pain has been transmuted, and the excitement for their future when they can see and feel and wrap their arms around their own personal connection with their spirit guides and why they are going through what they're going through in order to get there. The clarity will be there, the peace will be in the heart, and the serenity, as well as the excitement for the future. Excitement and joy to me seem like the biggest, highest purpose in life.
Wow, that's so good. Absolutely. Your frequency lifts when you're excited. Your energy is soaring when you're excited. And, this is what I was saying in one of my stories today, that I'm doing 100 things at the moment, and God only knows where I get my energy from, but it's because of my excitement about what I'm doing that I believe really takes me on. So guys, if you are out there and you feel like you're in that element of that, relationship, the brokenness, and you are ready for a transformation, if you are ready to really heal those walls and really let your guard down and really open yourself up to either collaborating with your now soulmate, or really attracting and just bringing that new energy and vibrance to your life, then Tammy, how are they going to find you?
I currently have my Facebook group, and it is called Irresistible You, has my picture on it, and it's on Facebook.
Beautiful. I love that. So, Irresistible You, join the group. Tammy will drop the actual link in the comments. And yeah, Tammy, I want to thank you. I could sit here and talk to you all day on this topic because I think it's a really important one. So, if I can just ask you to, what I'm going to do is stay backstage, and I'll be right with you as I just close down our live stream for today. So what an amazing woman. And, I know myself that doing that program for me would have been an absolute game changer. And I'm grateful for what I obviously have done and where I am today. But if you are really wanting to create that transformation, make sure you do get in contact with Tammy. And from me to you, if you are a woman who is driven to succeed, even if you are a man who wants to rise and achieve and be not second best, not midstream, but to stand out in what you do. And if you are wanting a white glove of transformation and to tap into your zone of genius, just as you'll see me tapping into all of these beautiful coaches that come on board here, then I would prompt you to getting in contact with me. You can contact me through my booking link, which I will make sure that I drop it here in the comments. And, stay on board and watch and listen to the podcast, the live stream, wherever you are. And I thank you for being part of today's program. See you and bye for now.